Throughout history, sports have played a variety of important functions in society as a form of recreation, preparation for war or the hunt, or later as a substitute for war.
Sports have undergone many changes. Some have stayed much the same, while others have adapted with the times.
New sports are always being invented and developed.
Good day, everyone! I am Hazelou Alcazaren.
I am Gladys Ordas.
And I am Marimar Aranzado.
And we are here to talk about
the historical and philosophical foundation of physical education during the age of feudalism.
Feudalism, also known as the feudal system, was the combination of the legal, economic, military, and cultural customs that flourished in medieval Europe between the 9th and 15th centuries. Broadly defined, it was a way of structuring society around relationships that were derived from the holding of land in exchange for service or labor. Although it is derived from the Latin word feudum or feudum, which was used during the medieval period, the term feudalism and the system which it describes were not conceived of as a formal political system by the people who lived during the Middle Ages.
The classic definition by Francis Louis Ganshoff, 1944, describes a set of reciprocal, legal, and military obligations which existed among the warrior nobility and revolved around the three key concepts of lords, vassals, and fiefs. In broad terms, a lord was a noble who held land. A vassal was a person who was granted possession of the land by the lord, and the land was known as a fief. In exchange for the use of the fief and protection by the lord, the vassal would provide some sort of service to the lord. A broader definition of feudalism, as described by Mark Bloch, 1939, includes not only the obligations of the warrior nobility, but the obligations of all three estates of the realm, or kingdom: the nobility, or having the quality of being noble in character, mind, birth, or rank. Next is the clergy, or the formal leaders within established religions, and their rules and functions vary in different religious traditions, but usually involve presiding over specific rituals in teaching their religious doctrines and practices. And the last is the peasantry, or the smallholders and agricultural laborers of low social status, all of whom were bound by a system of manorialism. This is sometimes referred to as a feudal society.
Since the publication of Elizabeth A.R. Brown's The Tyranny of a Construct in the year 1974 and Susan Reynolds' Fiefs and among medieval historians as to whether feudalism is the useful construct for understanding medieval society.
Let us now proceed to the physical education and sport during the age of feudalism. As a result of the decentralization of government during the Dark Ages, the period of feudalism came into being between the 9th and 14th centuries. The feudalistic period appeared because people needed protection, and since strong monarch and government that could supply this protection were rare, the people turned to noblemen and others who built castles, had large land holdings, and made themselves strong.
Feudalism was a system of land tenure based on allegiance and service to the noble or lord. The lord who owned the land called his vassal. In return for the use of this land, the vassal owed allegiance and certain obligations to this lord. The largest part of the population, however, was made up of serfs, who worked the land but shared little in the profits. They were bound to the land, and as it was transferred from vassal, they were also transferred.
Two careers open were to sons of noblemen during feudalistic times. They might enter training for the church and become members of the clergy, or they might become knights. If they decided in favor of the church, they pursued an education that was religious and academic in nature. If they decided in favor of chivalry, they pursued an education that was physical, social, and military in nature. To the average boy, chivalry had much more appeal than the church. The training that a boy experienced in becoming a knight was long and thorough. Physical training played a major role during this period.
Becoming a knight. During his tenure as a page, a boy learned. At the age of 7 years, a boy was usually sent to the castle of a nobleman for training and preparation for knighthood first. He was known as a page, and his instructor and teacher was usually on the women in the lord castle. During his tenure as a page, a boy learned court etiquette, waited on table, run errands, and help with household tasks. During the rest of the time, he participated in various forms of physical activity that would serve him well as knight and strengthen him for the arduous years ahead. He practiced for events such as boxing, running, fencing, jumping, and swimming.
At the age of 14 years, the boy became a squire, or shield bearer of a knight, and was assigned to a knight. His studies included keeping the knight's weapons in good condition, caring for his horses, helping him with his armor, attending to his injuries, and guarding his prisoners. During the time the boy was a squire, more and more emphasis was placed in physical training. He was continually required to engage in vigorous sport and exercise such as hunting, scaling walls, shooting with bow and arrow, running, climbing, swordsmanship, and horsemanship. If the squire proved his fitness, he became a knight at 21 years of age. The ceremony was solemn and memorable. The prospective knight took a bath of purification, dressed in white, and spent an entire night in meditation and prayer in the morning. The Lord placed his sword on the knight's shoulder, a ceremony known as the accolade. This marked the conferring of knighthood.
Jousts and tournaments were two special events in which all knights engaged several times during their lives and that were tests of their fitness. These special events served both as amusement and as training for the battle. In the joust, two knights attempted to unset one another from their horses with blows from lances and by skill in horsemanship. Jousts and tournaments. During these tournaments, death often resulted for participants. In these exhibitions, a knight had the opportunity to display his personal bravery, skill, powers, strength, and courage.
Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye and keep safe, everyone.